Welcome to the island of Lanzarote, the easternmost island in the Canary Island chain. More precisely, welcome to Club La Santa on the northwest coast of the island, where there are about 1,900 men and women registering to take part in one of the most spectacular sporting events in the world, the Club La Santa Ironman Lanzarote, which is celebrating the 25th edition of this iconic race this year. There are triathletes here from all over the world, drawn by the mystique, the legend. It's the ultimate bucket list Ironman triathlon, one which has been hosted by Club La Santa since 1992, making it one of the oldest races of its kind anywhere in the world. One of the main differences this race has to offer is its bike course, which takes the competitors on a full circuit of the island, taking in all the dramatic scenery that this volcanic island has to offer, from the sea to the mountains and back again. But the cycling is only one part of this race. It's a triathlon, remember, and an Ironman triathlon at that. The distances covered are staggering. They start at 7 in the morning with a quick warm-up 2-mile swim or 3.8 kilometers before climbing on their bikes and tackling the 112-mile or 180 kilometer bike ride. They arrive at the second transition, where they put on their running shoes and pound out a full marathon. That's 26 miles, 42 kilometers along the seafront. All this has got to be finished in less than 17 hours, or it's all for naught, as only the people who cross the line before midnight get to wear the medal and call themselves an Ironman. Now, 16 hours before the gun goes off on a Friday, the athletes arrive in Puerto del Carmen, which is the oldest tourist centre on Lanzarote. They rack their bikes, ready for the big date with a small island. This is their last chance to prepare for the day ahead. Once that gun goes off, they're on their own. So all clothes, shoes, food has got to be where they need it to be. Lining up with those competing today is a true legend of modern day triathlon, Frodeno from Germany, the only man to claim both Olympic and Ironman champion titles.
Some energy drink mix.
I was hoping to race Ironman South Africa. Had to change that because of a 9-centimeter tear in my calf. That has, I hope, healed enough to survive this course fully. It's a very interesting race. I've been looking forward to doing this one. I'm not so sure if as a race or just hanging out here for training. I mean, it's ridiculously windy. The course obviously is phenomenally hard, and I'm looking forward to the challenge. It's a bit of it's an infamous race, so that makes it sort of a bucket list race, I guess, for triathletes. I think it's also a good preparation race for Hawaii. Just, you know, for lack of resemblance, I mean, the lava fields, of course, to Hawaii being probably even more stark than here, but the wind is infamous. There's probably a bit more climbing here, or not probably, there's definitely a bit more climbing here, but there is a little less heat and humidity, you know, so it evens out, I think, and it's a good one to get your head wrapped around, I think, in preparation for, obviously, as you said, trying to defend my world title. Yeah, I saw I saw a good quote I liked the other day. The most important thing about having a goal is goals is having one, and you know, I work that way. I need to set goals. I need to set targets for myself. I need to set sort of the benchmark fairly high in order to be enticed to achieve it every single day. And you know, a second world championship, possibly a world record. Those kind of things are definitely, you know, things that you need a bit of luck for, but you also, everything has to be right, and that's what I'm striving for. Winning this race is, to be honest, is a fair bit away for me. You know, my training has come good, but yeah, winning is certainly not something I can talk about right now. I'll put my best effort into it, and then certainly celebrate it in style if I do.
Well, I think that's all bases covered. Either he'll win or he won't. Lining up now are the pros in this morning's race. We have Evan Renya there, the second fastest Ironman ever. In the white cap, clapping Celeste Castro, young Spanish girl yet to win a full Ironman race. In the red cap, Lucy Charles. She was the fastest age group in Hawaii last year. And last year's Ironman Lanzarote winner in the black cap there was Tine from Germany. Their pros will start about 10 meters in front of the rest of the field. Should give them some advantage at getting down to that first buoy. And as the clock ticks down to the 7 a.m. start, we'll find out exactly who is ready for Lanzarote. Kenneth Gask there, the man who brought the race to the island, gets the 25th running of this race underway. Just under 2,000 people to get into the water, and they'll start with this first phase of this immense challenge, a 3.8 kilometre or 2.4 mile swim. As we said earlier, the first Lanzarote Ironman back in 1992 had just over 100 people starting. The original Ironman in Hawaii took place in 1978 with just 15 people entering the water, 12 of whom finished, led by Gordon Haller in a time of 11 hours 46 minutes. He was a visitor here to Lanzarote a couple of years ago, managed to finish in around 17 hours. We're expecting our winners today to come home in between 8.5 and 9 hours. The record for the race is 8 hours 30 minutes, set by Timo Bracht back in 2011. He joins the pro athletes today, 5 years older and wiser. Still up for the challenge, it seems. The fastest ever time over the Ironman distance was set in Austria at 7 hours 45 by Marino van Honecker, also in 2011. Still 50 minutes faster than the fastest time here, which says something about the difficulty of the course. Indeed, it's been said on many occasions that here in Lanzarote, the normal limits simply don't apply. And there we go, the race leader is Jan Frodeno, already stretching out. Is closely followed by Lucy Charles there in a red cap, a young pro lady, new pro lady who did very well here last week in an open water race we had. The second woman there in a pink cap, that was Tanya Slater from Great Britain, and in a white cap, Saleta Castro in third, Diane Riesler in fourth. Just behind her in a green cap we could see Caroline Lipsy, who finished here in third place last year. Lots of tussling going in the water in the early stages of this swim, as our underwater cameraman can show you exactly how clear this water is in which they're swimming. Jan Frodeno is enjoying a bit of that clear water out in front of all the swimmers as he approached the second buoy in this first lap. Number 3 there in a black cap, we mentioned that man earlier. That's Timo Bracht, of course, who is the record holder here in Lanzarote, 8 hours 30, 2011, 5 years difference, but still going strong. And our swimmers round the far buoy and start heading back towards the shore. A little bit of argy-bargy going on under the water there. Thought we didn't see it, but Gorka, our underwater cameraman, he's always there on hand to show how beautifully clear this water is. Not the calmest it's ever been. Back in 1992 when this race first started, it was mill pond flat, but not today. A little bit choppy. But Jan Frodeno leads these swimmers around the course. Lucy Charles there, still hanging on in second place, only a few meters back. Several hundred meters back from her is Tanya Slater in third position, and Saleta Castro having a little tussle there in third. And we look back down the course, we've got 1,900 people in the water now. 2 hours 20 they've got to finish this swim by. If they're not out in 2 hours 20, then they don't do the rest of the race. It's that simple. Cut-off time at 9:20 this morning. As we've got the leaders coming into the beach now to finish the first lap. That's 1.9 kilometers done, just over a mile swum in just over 20 minutes. Jan Frodeno leads them out. Closely followed in the orange cap there, we've got a age grouper, Jacob Carstensen from Denmark, starting 20 meters back from Jan Frodeno, so he's powered his way up to the front. So a little confusion by Frodeno there. Not exactly sure where to go, but I imagine it's an assault on the senses to poke your head above the water, to be confronted by several thousand cheering people. So Frodeno leads the pack with Carsten's son on his shoulder. In the blue cap in third, Stephen Bayliss, whose best finish was a second place here in 2012, followed closely by Ivan Rania, and coming up at the tail of that leaders group, Lucy Charles. With a commanding lead over compatriot Tanya Slater in second place, a couple of minutes adrift with Tina, and in third, Selena Castro, who is now coached by Luc van Leert, of course, ex-world champion, who held the fastest Ironman record for several years before being bested by Van Honicke. Selena always fighting, always up near the front. Surely it's only a matter of time before she takes an Ironman title for herself. And now begins a steady stream of athletes leaving the water to end their first lap. An Australian invention, this half-time break in the swim. Lanzarote was one of the first countries outside of Oz to adopt this swimming half-time, but it does give the athletes an extra dose of cheer to send them on their way, and also gives the spectators another slice of spectacular, as we've got to wave through all these athletes once more. So back out with the leaders then. Lucy Charles is still on the feet of this lead group of men. Jan Frodeno is at the front, not stretching out too far. He said at the beginning he was a bit unsure about this swim. He wasn't looking forward to it. He was a bit concerned that the temperature was a little lower than he would like. Normally here in Lanzarote it's between 18 and 20 degrees centigrade. The rules state that pros can use wetsuits up to 21.9 degrees and age groupers get wetsuits all the way up to 24.5. The Ironman Federation is very strict on wetsuit rules. In fact, on their websites there are lists of wetsuits do's and don'ts, which any athlete not wanting to be disqualified should be fully aware of. And here we are, we've got the lead men now, the lead group of men, actually passing some of the age groupers who haven't finished their first lap at the moment. And first out the water, as he's been from the beginning, Jan Frodeno comes out with the young Danish chap, Jacob Carlsensen there, and walks on up to the beach to collect his bike in the transition zone for the cycling part. In third place we've got Stephen Bayliss out the water, but leading these chaps up to the bikes is a young Scottish chap, David McNamee. McNamee there, the winner of last year's UK Ironman, the 11th in Kona. He's not slow with the fastest run time of the day there. Follows Stephen Bayliss out, so there goes Stephen Bayliss in first place out onto the bike, followed by McNamee. Frodeno seems to be having problems as he's passed there by the young German Johann Ackermann. Even Rania leaves in fourth, and Frodeno is going nowhere at the moment as we look back down to the beach to see Lucy Charles heading to the bike park and leaving just before our Danish swimming star, number 981, Jacob Karlsten. Lucy runs out ahead of Jan Frodeno, who seems to be having problems with the visor on his helmet. He's not very happy. Under official count for Lucy is bet. She's actually left Jan in transition. I wonder if she'll still win the tenner. I wonder if that counts. So back down to the beach, second place woman out of the water. That was Tanya Slater there, just running through. Closely followed by third place Selena Castro. Last year's winner follows closely behind. There's the German girl, Diane Riesler. There's back to the other German, wearing number 1, Jan Frodeno, finally sorts his helmet out, pulls his bike out of the rack, and he's away. We'll have a steady progression of triathletes now, moving through T1 where they'll transform from swimmers to cyclists, ready to tackle this epic 180-kilometre bike loop of Lanzarote. Not forgetting they've got to be out the water before 9:20, otherwise they will be disqualified and not allowed to compete in the rest of the day. So as we got these age groupers moving through, we can have a quick look at the scoreboards. The official times there shows Jan Frodeno down to 5th place Ivan Rania. Not much time been between them, but the women is another story. Lucy Charles 47.12, 10 minutes ahead of 5th place Rachel Hallam. There's still a lot of racing to go here at Lanzarote, and we'll see how they get on Now, one of 3 guys here today who ran in the first race back in 1992.
The water was really calm and the swim was really nice. It was a nice swim. It was not 2 laps and it was just 1 lap, and that was really good. We got on the bike and it was a bumpy road. I presume all the roads are sealed nicely now, but back then it was quite a bumpy road coming out of Playa Blanca. We biked to here and we actually biked a lap off the track. So we had to go up the gutter, up the curb, lap of the track, and then we headed right to the north of the island. And then we had a different transition. It was in a fancy hotel, and the transition, you went down into the underground car park, and then it was a pretty flash hotel, and we ran right through the lobby, the reception lobby. It was all air conditioned, and I was thinking, oh, this is nice. It was really cool in the car park. Going through the air conditioning lobby, it was really cool. And then the doors opened, and I'll never forget that. It was boom, the heat, because by that time, I know, it must have been 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And then we ran along the main road past the airport, and then finished at Punta del Carmen. Yeah, it was really good. And you know, although it's 24 years ago, it's just like it was yesterday. You know, I've not done a race with 2,000. Well, I think there's 1,880 people. I mean, when we did it, I think there was about 130 starters, and I got the result sheet at home, 116 finishes. So it was sort of. I'd imagine it's going to be quite different on Saturday. Yeah.
I imagine it will be a little bit different for Stuart this time out, with 25 years of experience on those legs. The last time he came in not far away from the lead woman. We'll see how he handles the course today. As we leap to the front and we see David McNamee there, making his first move of the day, passing Stephen Bayliss. This course goes along 5 kilometers along the street of Puerto del Carmen before it goes onto the highway and then out into the countryside of Lanzarote. A little bit smoother than Stuart was mentioning there. I remember 25 years ago I was here myself and the roads were very rough. Very smooth today though. And Ivan Rania there in that lead group of men, also passing Stephen Bayliss. Stephen Bayliss, a good swimmer, suffering a little bit on the early stage of this bike, and Ivan Rania, of course, having a look back because he knows somebody's behind him. 2 minutes it took him to get his helmet sorted out, but he's on the way now, is young Frodeno. Lucy Charles, just turned pro. Let's see what she has to say for herself.
Well, obviously I've got a label now, so I've got the pro label. I haven't really changed a great deal. I've continued to work and sort of keep everything exactly the same as it was. This year's really just about learning what it's like to be a pro and racing a lot more challenging athletes and see what I can get from that. I mean, the swim is obviously my strength, so I want to go in hard and put a good time down and kind of do that part justice, as I feel that that's the part where I've had the biggest background in and I should put down a good time. But like you said, it is a very long day out on the bike and then the run to finish. So I've got to pace it and not put everything into the swim and just see what happens really. A lot of people have been speculating about what I might do. Like, I've got a friend who's another pro athlete. He's got a bet with me that I can beat Jan Frodeno at the swim. So I'm not sure. I think certainly I want to be in the front pack with those men. If I can just sit on their feet, it means it's a lot easier ride for me. But I am very competitive, and if I am up there on the second lap, I might have a little sprint finish to get the glory of the swim. So I'm not going to say that I might not do that. So yeah, it's all good fun. And I've done the bike course as a swimmer and really found it tough. I had one of the road bikes out from the bike centre, and my friend who'd done the Ironman that year, he sort of took me round the course and I had no idea what I was in for, and it was a real struggle. Certainly before I'd made the decision to go pro, I'd already actually entered this race as an age grouper because I was like, oh, it's the 25th year, I've always wanted to do Ironman Lanzarote, it's going to be a big year, I definitely want to do it. And then after changing my decision and actually going professional, I was like, I still want to stick with this race, like I definitely want to go out to Lanzarote and give that a good go. So yeah, I think it'll be a good race. I never want to rule out winning. I do like winning and it's something that I definitely enjoy. So I feel it might be a little bit unrealistic in this race. So the top 5 is kind of what I'm hoping for.
Well, she's hoping for top 5. She finished 5 minutes 40 ahead in a swim of her nearest rival. almost 10 minutes ahead of this lady, Dan Riesler, last year's winner, who's now powering away towards the front. Soledad Castro, looking serious. He's also chasing that win. Could this be her first win in Lanzarote? We've yet to see, as the cyclists go with the wind now down to El Golfo, the southernmost tip of the island, with David McNamee still in the lead on the bike, leading that host of press cycles along this beautiful coastline. Very flat seas today, not much wind down here, but it is quite windy out there on the course. As we see now in 5th and 6th place, we've got Timo Bracht and Jesse Thomas, a young American. Jesse Thomas, of course, won Ironman Wales last year, and Timo Bracht, no slouch, having the record here in Lanzarote, as I mentioned before. Jan Frodeno there, out the saddle, putting some power into this bike leg and trying his hardest to make up for the time lost due to his helmet malfunction. You can see he's already ditched the visor. If he did that in transition, he might have had a very different story developing here. As it is, the young Scot, McNamee, is still in the lead, approaching the lava fields of Timofire. We asked him earlier in the week what drew him to Ironman racing.
What attracts me to Ironman is, I know this sounds crazy, but maybe the suffering that's involved. I think there's a certain point you get in a race where it's very much sort of just, you're empty and it's just sort of how much do you want it and how much do you want to see that finish line. And yeah, it's horrific but beautiful at the same time. The smart person would look at how I am as an athlete and think, oh, right now your biking's still a bit weak, so you shouldn't be going to these tough sort of events like UK and Lanzarote because the bike course is such a brutal affair. But a part of me just thinks, well, it draws out the suffering longer, and that's what I seem to be good at, is just suffering for longer. I think here is such a tough course that there's going to be a few explosions. So I think if I can be off the bike within 10 minutes, then I can shoot for the podium, if not the win. Obviously some great runners as well in the field, but again I have faith in my ability to run fast here, so yeah, we shall see.
He doesn't seem to be afraid of pain, so he's definitely arrived at the right island. As he looks back, he'll see Johan Ackerman catching him, and a little bit further back behind him will be Timo and Jesse Thomas, still riding together and moving up the field. This time they're passing Stephen Bayliss as well, pushing him a little bit further down the field. If we look a bit further down the road, we'll also see Tina Charles, who's hitting water bottles rather than catching them, and moving into the Timofire National Park, as you can see from the cameras, as you can see from the clock car there, around 9:15 in the morning. Timofire National Park there, absolutely stark, beautiful black rock. Is the last place on Lanzarote to erupt, and indeed, if you go into the national park there are still parts of the rock that are roasting hot, so roasting hot that you can cook food on there. Now, it is 9:20 in the morning, so all these cyclists will be out on the course. We'll take a look back down through the course and see the age groupers, who will all be now enjoying the early stages of this circumnavigation. So beginning here in the southwestern corner of Lanzarote is Timofire, the national park named after the last active volcano on the island, which last erupted in the 1700s, 1730 to be precise, an eruption which lasted for 6 years and swallowed around 7 villages. As I mentioned before, the earth is still hot at this point, with a really hot spot at only 10 meters below the surface. Visitors can come to the visitors center here and watch several demonstrations of the power of this innocuous looking rock. But these guys on bikes won't be worrying too much about volcanic power today. They'll be more concerned with their own power, saving enough hopefully to get round the course before the bike cut-off time at 10 hours and 30 minutes, or at 5:30 this afternoon. ahead of all those age groupers now then. Riding down into Famara, which is the big beach in Lanzarote on the north coast. As you can see there, nice little surfing beach there, nice surfing point. We have Ivan Rania and Jan Frodeno battling out for third position. Jan Frodeno's made up a lot of time since he lost it this morning, and now he meets Ivan Rania on a street. Word, I don't think it's of encouragement particularly, but you never know. Jan Frodeno takes third place, and only to relinquish it a few hundred yards up the road as Ivan Rania retakes it. All smiles at the moment. I wonder if that will continue for the rest of the day. As we reach halfway point on the bike, Tegese, the old capital of the island, about 25 past 10 in the morning, and we see the leader has changed. Now we have Johan Ackermann, number 47. A young guy from Germany there has passed David McNamee on that last little section. He's still in second. And as we get to Tegese, we see Ivan Rania has held off Jan Frodeno, and he's in third and fourth place there for those two. And next we have Timo Bracht and Jesse Thomas riding along in 5th and 6th, building up a healthy lead over the rest of the pack now. These guys are stretching out. Wonderful atmosphere here in Lanzarote. The crowds have come out to support these guys as they do every year, as it's become a firm fixture in the Lanzarote sporting calendar. In fact, the Lanzarote cultural calendar as well. Now back down to Famara again, we have one of the ladies, Tine Holst. Tine Holst from Denmark, started triathlon late. She started the race late, but she's motoring now. She passes Saleta Castro and is moving up the order. And at the halfway point for the women, then we still find Lucy Charles in the lead, still in the lead, about 10:53 in the morning. In second place, Jan Reisler is still there with Tina Holst, charged up from nowhere. I think she only learned how to swim 6 years ago, but she's doing well on the bike now. And following her in fourth place, that's Caroline Livesey there. You just see a back end going through Tegese, where the support has been absolutely outstanding since the early part of this morning. So going out the other side of Tegese now, riding up to the top of the island, up some of the biggest climbs now, we find Jesse Thomas and Timo Bracht locked together as they've been from the start, and Jesse Thomas takes Timo Bracht and moves up a place.
Oh man, this is it's a brutal course. I've seen just about all of the bike rides so far, and I mean the hills and the wind, you know, they can't be understated. It's definitely the toughest course I've ever seen. That's my first time in Lanzarote, but you know it's the first Ironman that I've prepared for, I guess, you know, in that, and not that I wasn't prepared for Wales, but I had trained for 70.3 Worlds, which was 2 weeks before Wales, and then kind of did Wales on my 70.3 training. And so this race will be, I've had some different preparation, a few longer bike rides, a couple little more miles on my legs on the run, and you know, excited to see what happens there. This is a much better field than I faced in Wales, so you know I don't have any misconceptions about coming here and you know taking a win away. But you know I'm excited to see what I get out of my body, and I feel like I'm in great shape. And this is the best course in the world to test yourself. Certainly, I didn't think that the world champ would sign up for a 2,000 point race in May, but you know. You got to race the guys that show up on the day, and it certainly takes any pressure off of me of being a favorite going into the race. And you know, not to mention guys like Timo and Ivan. I mean, there's a lot of, it's about 5 or 6 guys here that have real great Ironman credentials, much better than mine. So you you know, I'm actually pretty excited just to see how I stack up against them and see where I lie and find some more stuff to work on for going down the road.
Well, it'll be a while before he goes back down the road. We're still climbing all the way up to Mirador del Rio, and we see Jesse Thomas there passing Ivan Rania, who's been left behind by Jan Frodeno, who's made some ground up on the steep part of this course. And in second place there we've still got David McNamee rounding the very top of the climb at Mirador del Rio, turning back towards home. Chasing him is Jan Frodeno, not far behind him at all. Now you'll see all of these guys here in the yellow t-shirts. These are the volunteers turned out in force once more here in Lanzarote. We caught up with one of the volunteers from the original race back in 1992, who's racing here for his first ever attempt at the race, 25 years after seeing it for the first time. And he was lucky enough to be one of the first volunteers back in 1992. He was with a group of friends from a volleyball club. He was only 15, nearly 16 years old. He told them they needed volunteers for a group of crazy people that were coming to do a race at running, cycling and swimming, something really weird to them back in those times. The truth was, it was good fun. This is going to be the first year that I compete in Ironman Lanzarote. He's not sure whether he'll ever do it again because, to tell the truth, it's a lot of hours of training, and between work and training, it takes a lot out of you. He's already done 2 Ironman 70.3s here in Club La Santa and done a few half-distance races, but the Ironman Lanzarote is something special. The message of Ironman is that if you haven't done an Ironman, you're not really a triathlete. It's the biggest, and to do it here on his home of Lanzarote is something very special. He's done 1 Ironman, but not officially. Did it by himself in January in order to get his head around it, just with his rucksack on his back, and it took 15 hours, but this is different. The biggest fear he has is the water. To swim with 1,500, 1,600 people whacking each other fills him with respect. The island is a great centre for sports tourism. The island lives from tourism. It used to live from fishing and agriculture, but that's really hard now. So the tourist keeps us, and it's important to respect that sports tourism. And it's important to respect that sports tourism, not only for what we have now, but what's to follow. And this is thanks to Club La Santa, because here there was no sports tourism before Club La Santa. They held the first volcano triathlon and everything that followed. Now we have youngsters of all ages competing in aquathlons, swimming and everything else, and they're starting from really young. We have a good base here of young Lanzaroteños. Who knows, one day one of them could win this race. Thanks for those wise words from Frank de Leon there, one of the early volunteers and a great advocate of increasing sports tourism here on the island of Lanzarote. Of course, as he said, it is Club La Santa that brought most of these triathletes to the island, and it's continuing to promote sports tourism on the island. And why not? What a wonderful sight. And this girl here, number 15, this is Tine Holst, climbing up the beautiful Mirador del Rio. She originally worked in Club La Santa, I've been told, and saw the Ironman and decided it was a dream that she could follow. Well, she's currently riding in 3rd place, and going up Mirador del Rio, as you see the clouds coming down, It's not quite as clear as it usually is up here. It's a fantastic view over to the little island of La Graciosa on the other side. And then when they get round the end of the corner, it's downhill all the way. Lucy Charles really tearing down the hill there. Going up some speeds up to 80 kilometers an hour. She's still in first place. Diana Riesler is close in the gap. As they take this descent and this long run back to Puerto del Carmen. This is pretty much the psychological turning point of the bicycle race. It starts with this wonderful 10-kilometer downhill, back down to sea level from 600 meters. See there, Arieta in the background. And we jump to the front, geographical center of the island, the Monumental Campesino at San Bartolome. Ackerman still in the lead on the men's race. He's doing well, but I think the guys behind him are closing up. We've seen this happen many times before, where some crackerjack's gone out on the bicycle and faded badly in the marathon. Tina Holst actually going past Diane Riesler now and moving into second place. These two closing on Lucy Charles all the time. And another pass just in front. We got Jan Frodeno finally caught up to McNamee and he passes him. She has a few words. We're not sure again if they're words of advice or what, but he's now in second place. Ackerman comes in to complete this leg of the bike and moves into T2, into the second transition. He's pleased with himself. Young professional, I believe, there. Not any sponsors at the moment, but I'm sure with a bike ride like that, it won't be long before he has some. And Frodeno follows him in second place. There's only the matter of a small marathon to run now before these guys finish. And in third place, McNamee comes in a couple of minutes behind Frodeno. And whoops. Okay. If you're doubtful that these guys are tired and human, I think that just goes to show that yes, they're definitely human. That was McNamee taking a little tumble there as he climbs off his bike and follows Frodeno into transition 2. Ackerman leaves on his run on the start of his marathon, and just behind these three, here we go with Timo Bragg, followed by Jesse Thomas there, and in the background in the red helmet we have Ivan Rania. This has got some quality. We've got some quality on the course at the moment, and there's only 10 minutes between the first and third men. This could be anybody's race. As McNamee said earlier on, give him 10 minutes and he will really go for the win. So Frodeno ready to set out on this marathon. A little bit careful of this injury he's carrying. He's got a long season. It's only May. There's still another 5 months to go to the World Championship as McNamee follows him out onto the course in Puerto del Carmen. They run along the seafront. It's an undulating course, 3 laps. One very long lap to start with of 20 kilometers and then 2 shorter ones of 10 kilometers each. As Frodeno now runs out to be greeted by this exceptional Lanzarote crowd who come out in force again in the sunshine to see these guys, cheer them on. Wonderful atmosphere here down in Puerto del Carmen, as it has been for many years now. This is the 25th running of the race, and let's hope we've got 25 more in there. And in first place, off the bike, as she has been from the start, we have Lucy Charles. She's managed to hold on to the lead on the bike course with a bike split of 5:48.36. Tagged that onto the 47 bike swim that she had this morning. She's doing well, but tucked in right behind, as you can see, running in there, number 15, Tina Holst. She's had a bike of 5:34.25, so she's cut down 15 minutes on Lucy's time on the bike there, as Lucy runs out onto the run, closely followed by Tina. This race is shaping up to be anybody's race completely, in the men's and women's races. We've got some excitement to come here on the streets of Lanzarote. There's Jan Frodeno, strides out there on the beautiful seafront in Puerto del Carmen, and indeed passes Ackerman just a few kilometers into the race. Ackerman there tiring up badly. He's basically stopped. Frodeno has been here before in the lead. In fact, this is one of his favorite positions, I believe. And a little bit further back, McNamee also passes Ackerman, so Ackerman is effectively out of the race now. So yeah, just like in previous occasions, he's had a wonderful bike ride and then just done nothing. In fact, word is that just beyond this section, he dropped out of the race completely. And now passing into second and third places, we have Timo Brecht and Jesse Thomas passing McNamee and running along alongside the airport here in Lanzarote. This race is really opening up. Back with the women, Lucy Charles has lost that first position. Within the first 2 kilometers, Tine Holst has pulled her in, and now she leads the race with Dan Riesler in third place. A little bit further down the road, Dan Riesler is actually catching up to Lucy Charles as well. And here we are on the return leg of the first lap. Dan Riesler actually catches up to Lucy and passes into second place. She's not looking as fresh as she did last year, but she's still in a very strong position. It's still quite a way behind Tina Holst as these two finish the second lap shoulder to shoulder. They're still together. Lucy hasn't let Diane get away from her. It's not looking good for Diana. She is looking very, very tired. Whereas this girl, Alexandra Chando from Belgium, she's having a stormer of a race on the run. So far she's fastest by far in that first half marathon split. In fact, it's all happening everywhere on this course, as we see Ivan Rania there, catching up to Timo Brecht, overtaking him. Jesse Thomas has obviously left Timo Brecht behind, but Ivan Rania is taking advantage and he moves into fourth place. Jan Frodeno, because Jesse Thomas, who was running with Timo Brecht, pulls him in, and on the return leg of the second lap, he actually makes the pass, which he wasn't expecting at the beginning of the day. But there you go, Jan Frodeno, still smiling all over his face, taps Thomas on the behind and wishes him well. And a little bit further behind them, McNamee has found his second win, and he's pulling back some ground on Ivan Rania. Everything's happening in this race today, which is hardly surprising considering the quality of the field that we've got out there today. We've got some of the world's top athletes come to celebrate this 25th anniversary in Lanzarote, and they're still running strong in this blistering heat in Lanzarote, well supported as always, as from the first moment this morning. And we see now, with just a few meters to go, just 1 kilometer to go, the press is waiting for him. Jesse Thomas has held on to that lead, and here he goes, going to win his second Ironman. He's got wonderful times for the day. He's had 50.55 for his swim, 4:58.33 for the bike, and a blistering run of 2:46.56 to give him a total time of 8 hours 42.33. Jesse Thomas, absolutely fantastic, standing there in his super expensive sunglasses, of course. And in second place, our world champion Jan Frodeno comes home, still smiling, still happy. Say hello to Jesse Thomas. And in third place he did it. David McNamee came home, run a very tough race with a 2:51 final marathon split, and secured that podium place. And behind him, the Spanish favourite there, Ivan Rania, looks absolutely shattered. But then again, who wouldn't be? Let's have a quick word with today's winner.
Jesse Thomas, how excited are you right now?
Oh, I'm over the moon, man. I'm psyched. I can't, I just can't believe it. But honestly, a win here wasn't in the picture today for me, and I knew I was in great shape, but I knew it would be super difficult and it'd be hot out on the run, and I just came together. It was just a great day. It just, man.
I think amped a way to describe this young lady as well, or supercharged even. Tina Holst there, coming in to take first place. Had a fantastic day. Slowest swim of 1 hour and 1 minute and 15 seconds. Bike of 5:34.25 and a run of 3:19.48. Sees across the line in a winning time of 10:02.35. and she's taking that ribbon back to Denmark with her by the looks of it, but she's happy. There's no denying that. Like we said earlier on, she hasn't been swimming for that long, but she's had a fantastic day today, and she's even ensuring that the guy who's coming in just behind her enjoys his part of his day as well. Wonderful humour, wonderful humans here in Lanzarote. It's Ironman, the 25th edition. She receives her flowers and her congratulations. Tine Holst is this year's Ironman champion 2016, and coming in second place following that fantastic run, a marathon time of 3 hours 10:26 for Alexandra Chando of Belgium. Basically, literally run away onto the podium. Back in third place, Lucy Charles hung on. She thoroughly deserved in the first year as a professional to be welcomed over the line. Well done, Lucy. Well done, everybody. Let's go hear from Tine and see what she's got to tell us.
I was just saying all the time, I really want to win from my heart. I want to do so many things with that. I want to motivate other people. As I couldn't do triathlon in 2008, I learned it all from scratch, and it could be a good thing. If I could win, then it could motivate other people that you can also start late and still achieve something. So this is like a win for people who start late, like me, that never ever give up and always believe in yourself and your goals.
Well, she came, she believed, and she conquered. And we can have a look at the final numbers. The times telling the quality of the athletes out on the course today, with the top 7 men all finishing in under 9 hours. And for the women, a little more spread out, but lots of action there where experience counted in the end. Surely Lucy Charles should be a name to look out for in the future after dominating much of today's racing action. Well, there's one happy soul. She's going to Hawaii, so she tells us. Every reason to be cheerful. We've still got loads of racing action to take us all the way up to midnight today. Here in Lanzarote, lots of age groupers fighting for Hawaii qualifying slots and personal records to beat. They're all here for their own individual reasons, and they're all running their own individual races, including this man. Here we go, Stuart Mills returned after 25 years to finish in a little over 11 hours.
The run was tough. The bike was good, the swim was good, but the run was just so... My age is showing.
Well, his age may be showing, but he's got another finisher's medal to show everyone back home now. Well done to you, sir. And indeed, well done to everybody else. Racers, organisers, volunteers who are still out there after dark. This man too, Frank de Leon, crosses the line with his wife and son. His long-suffering wife, so he'll have us believe, and he's made it as well. Yep, there's his medal. He says he's absolutely knackered. Asked if he'll be coming back again next year, he says no, because his wife will probably kill him. But he will be here as a volunteer. Well done, Frank. So that's another Ironman Lanzarote drawing to a close. A landmark event number 25. Some of our friends unfortunately couldn't be here to enjoy it with us, but they've all been an important part of what makes this race truly special. So as our final finisher, Julie Lewis crosses the finish line before it closes at midnight. All that remains is for us to say, hasta la próxima, Ironman Lanzarote 2017.